Every house has a secret, and sometimes that secret is so terrifying, it stays with you for life. Before you hear this story, hit subscribe because the next incident might just save your life. And if you have your own horror story to share, send it to me. You can reach me on Instagram, and maybe your story will be in the next video. Well, I'm currently a freshman in college. I came home this past week for a funeral. But let's backtrack a little. My senior year in high school, I was in the library during study hall doing some computer science work on the computer since my laptop at home didn't have Creator on it. Anyways, this boy who was in my class sat next to me since those two computers were the only ones with Creator. He was a really tall, very pale boy. He had long black hair that covered one of his eyes. He wore an anti-flag tee ripped jean jacket and Doc Martens. He never spoke to anyone in class, and I'd never seen him with anyone else, so I took a seat and he looked up at me like I committed murder. I quickly looked away and started rummaging through my bag. As a distraction, as my head was down, I heard him chuckle, and then mumble, "Of course." I froze with my head still down towards my bag. I just dismissed it as him talking to his computer, as code can be quite frustrating. I sat back up and quickly typed in my login details to break the awkwardness. I said, "She assigns too much homework. I can barely keep up." His eyes stayed locked on the computer screen. "You want the answers, don't you?" I laughed and said, "No thanks. I won't learn anything that way." Usually I would have said yes, but I didn't want to see his evil stare again. It was like he was staring into my soul. He laughed again, in that creepy laugh, so creepy that I had to close my eyes and cringe. I opened them and looked over to see him gone. The strange thing was, he left his flash drive. I waited about 10 minutes to see if he would come back, but he didn't. Study hall ended at 1 and it was 12:50. I decided I would take it and give it back to him tomorrow in computer science class. I threw it in a little box above my bed. Got to admit it was an awesome flash drive. It was a Swiss Army knife with a flash drive in the middle. Here's the crazy part. After that, he never came to school again. He was notorious for being absent. So for the first month, no one batted an eye. However, May rolled around and we were all getting ready to graduate. I had completely forgotten about the flash drive until 2 days ago when I came home. I needed one and I remembered I still had that boy's. I scanned it with my Norton and it said it was all safe. I was planning to delete all this stuff so I could put my PowerPoint for business class on it. Naturally, however, I started snooping through his files. The first thing I saw was a folder named Computer Science. I opened it and all the answers to every assignment was there. I thought, damn, maybe that's why he left it, so I could copy off of him. Maybe because he knew he was never coming back. I went back and the second folder was music. I kind of had to open that one to see what he listened to. Surprisingly, not what I expected. There were only 3 songs, Running on Empty by Jackson Browne, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, and Helter Skelter by the Beatles. I went back again. There was an untitled folder. Inside it was AP Literature. There were a bunch of essays in various junk. There was one called The Best. I opened it, and it was merely a 10-page document of notebook pages filled entirely with his first and last name handwritten. I went back again. This is where it gets weird. He had taken pictures of the emergency escape plan posters on the door in every classroom. There was a picture of a lit cigarette on the bathroom floor, and another picture of some coins on the bathroom floor with a yellow post-it note next to it saying, "Chump change" in all caps. Now this is the weird part. There was a picture of me taken while I was reading a book in class from the looks of it. It was my English class that he was not in. There was also a document titled, "Rest in Peace." But it was empty when I opened it. I still have no idea if this was a joke or not. For all I know, he never showed up again because he realized that he lost his hard drive. This happened a few years back. I'm 15 now, which means I was around 12 when this took place. My best friend Emily and I were obsessed with paranormal stuff. We believed every old house was haunted and would do little ghost hunts, like on TV using a flip phone to record any strange sounds. One night, though, still haunts me to this day. It was a Friday night around midnight. Both of us were hyper, wide awake, and bored out of our minds. So we decided to ghost hunt in my basement. My parents didn't know we were going down there. They'd probably just laugh, thinking it was silly. But my dad was asleep upstairs, and my mom was at her usual weekend poker game, so it was just us. This time, we even borrowed my dad's touchscreen phone to actually record video. Looking back, I wish we didn't. Our basement was creepy. There was a big main room for storage, a medium-sized laundry room, and a tiny cell-like room at the far end that nobody ever used because it felt too unsettling. We walked down with the camera and asked the usual questions. "Is anyone here? Give us a sign if you are." Of course, nothing happened. So after a while, we walked back upstairs excitedly, ready to review our findings. We started going through the footage in my room. At first, we were disappointed. No voices, no shadows, nothing. Usually, we'd convince ourselves a random sound was paranormal just to feel better. But this time, the recording looked clean. Then Emily noticed something. She paused the video and pointed to the corner of the basement on the screen behind me. It was barely visible, but there seemed to be a faint outline of a person standing in the corner of the basement. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light. But then we watched as the figure began to walk slowly into view. It was a man wearing what looked like an old-fashioned shirt and pants. His head was bent over and he was shuffling on the floor, dragging his feet. Then he turned, revealing a horrifying sight. His face was pale and gaunt, almost like a skeleton. He stared directly at the camera with glowing white eyes that seemed to burn right through the screen. I froze, unable to look away. It felt like he was looking right at me, his hollow eyes boring into my soul. Emily screamed and tried to shut off the video, but we couldn't seem to get the phone to work. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the video ended abruptly, cutting off the screen just as the man lurched forward. We immediately ran out of my room to tell my dad what we'd seen, but it was too late. He was already asleep. I remember shaking him awake and begging him to come see the video, but his confused face and annoyed tone quickly made us shut up. Neither of us slept a wink that night. And even during the day, my bed felt more like a coffin than a place of comfort. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those burning white eyes staring back at me. I didn't want to go to school, but Emily insisted that we had to. As she put it, "We can't let some stupid ghost keep us from living our lives." So we took the video with us and showed it to a few people we trusted, each time getting different reactions. Some thought it was just a funny prank, while others agreed it was scary, but no one wanted to come over and investigate with us. Soon, though, everyone forgot about it. It became just another spooky story we told each other for fun. But I never forgot. And even now, Emily and I sometimes dream about it. I don't know if it was just our imagination or if something really was down there with us that night. But one thing I do know, I'll never step foot in that basement again. I hope you enjoyed this scary story. If you did, please subscribe for more content like this. Also check out these other videos. Thanks for watching. All right, we got a story today from a user. This happened during Halloween in 2014. My name is Ryan, and I'm from a small town outside Springfield, Illinois. I went to Jefferson County High School, about 10 minutes from where I lived. It was a decent little town with mostly good people. But like anywhere, there were some real creeps if you knew where to look. The biggest hotspot for shady characters was Maplewood State Park. Everyone in town knew the park had a bad reputation. Assaults, strange incidents, things people didn't like to talk about. Still, I'd been there many times with friends and nothing ever happened to us. I had good memories. Biking trails, fishing at the lake, messing around in the woods. But my senior year of high school, on Halloween, I saw the darker side of Maplewood State Park. That summer, I had enlisted in the Army National Guard, so working out was important to me. After school that day, I asked my best friend Ethan if he wanted to go run the trails with me. He agreed, since he liked staying in shape too. It was about 4 p.m. when I pulled into the parking lot to wait for Ethan. That's when I noticed an old silver sedan sitting there. Inside was a bald man, just staring at me. His eyes were wide, his face twisted. I couldn't tell if it was a grin or a frown. We locked eyes. He nodded at me like he was trying to say hello, but he never dropped his stare. It made me so uncomfortable that I quickly pulled out of the lot. In my rearview mirror, I saw him following me. My heart dropped. I floored the gas and sped all the way to my high school parking lot until I finally lost him. I called Ethan and told him what happened, but then I got a text from him. Here. My stomach sank. I rushed back to the park. Sure enough, Ethan's car was there. And 2 spaces away was that same silver sedan. The bald man was still staring. I signaled for Ethan to follow me, and we drove to another lot further down the park. We thought we were safe. We got out, started walking toward the trails, but as we came back up the hill, we saw the silver car circling the lot, looking for us. From where we were, he couldn't see us, but we could see him. We waited, then finally went up. He was gone. We decided to run anyway. I picked up a rock just in case. I'll never know what that man's intentions were, but in a park with a reputation like that, they couldn't have been good. Now I've graduated. I'm an infantryman in the National Guard, and I go to Illinois State University. Sometimes when I drive back home, I still check Maplewood State Park at night. I'm always armed, always cautious, because one thing I've learned, monsters don't just live in horror stories. Sometimes they're sitting in the parking lot, waiting for you. And that concludes our session. That was crazy. So, do you guys think that this guy, should keep going back to the park? Is it like a dare? Do you think he's gonna find out what happens? He did say he still checks it sometimes, but maybe not at night. Well, I don't know. He could find out something really creepy. Okay? Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm so sorry that I have been posting so infrequently. It's just life stuff has been happening. I'm sure you guys all have lives. You understand. But I just want to say thank you to all of you for being so patient and for understanding and just being awesome. And yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Bye. So when I was 19, I lived with my family in a quiet neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. It was the kind of place where you could safely leave your front door unlocked. Everyone knew everyone else, and crime was pretty much unheard of. So imagine my surprise when a stranger broke into my house in the middle of the night. In my room, right next to my bed, there was a huge storage closet, the kind you'd normally find in a hotel or a dorm. But instead of a regular door, it had a huge square panel, which you had to pull off by the edges to open. Now, this thing didn't fit properly, so it often came loose. So the first time something happened, I woke up one morning and found the panel leaning against the edge of my bed. It wasn't too unusual since the panel never fit tightly anyway, so I just pushed it back into place and left for school. That night, around 4 a.m., I woke up again to what sounded like a loud bang. My heart sank when I saw the closet door leaning against my bed once more. I tried to tell myself it was loose, nothing more. But the following night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned for hours, waiting for something to happen. And sure enough, I heard it. A heavy thump. I knew exactly what it was. The panel had fallen again. I just sighed and got up to push it back in place. I figured it would just keep happening over and over, so I might as well get some sleep while I could. But then I heard it, the faint rustle of a plastic bag coming from inside the closet. My chest tightened. There was no draft, no reason for anything to move in there. Shaking, I flicked on the light switch, and there he was, a man. Inside my closet, peering at me from the darkness. In half a second, he ducked down, trying to hide like I hadn't seen him. But it was too late. My body froze, and all I could do was scream, "Dad, help!" My dad rushed in within seconds. I pointed at the closet, but he just stared at it, confused. "What are you talking about?" he asked. I insisted that there was someone in there, but he didn't believe me. He crawled inside, searched every corner, even shone a flashlight in the back, but came back out empty-handed. "There's nothing in here," he insisted. "You must have imagined it." But I knew I hadn't. I refused to sleep in that room, so my parents let me stay in theirs. But that night, around 3 a.m., we were all awoken by a noise. I shot upright in bed, listening intently. My dad immediately leaped out of bed, grabbed a baseball bat, and crept towards my bedroom door. Just as he reached it, the door creaked open. Then we heard heavy footsteps running down the stairs. Whoever it was ran to the front door and slammed it shut. That was the moment my parents believed me. We searched the house, but there was no sign of the intruder. We did, however, find something weird in my closet. An enormous, nearly empty cardboard container that looked like it had been used to ship wine bottles. It was big enough for someone to crawl in and hide, but how would they get in and out without us hearing them? Well, as it turned out, the container had been sitting right in front of the closet door, which explained why it kept falling off its hinges. Whoever had been hiding in there had pushed it open, slipped inside, then pushed it shut again when they heard me approaching. To this day, I don't know who that man was or why he broke into my house. As for the closet, well, my family took that thing apart board by board. Thankfully, wherever he is now, he didn't follow me home from that night on. Do you believe me? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear another scary story, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.